You are listening to All Burgundy and Go Everything with the urban sports scene on Fox Sports Radio 96.9 FM and 1340 AM. Hopewell, Virginia. Wole, myself, that's who I am. I'm the host, Glen, Mo, and Rivera. But I ain't alone, though. That's what makes it dope. I'm never alone. We also have Sports Journey's Washington Commanders reporter, Lake Lewis Jr. He is also one of the main personalities on ABC Morning News, for WOAY TV. What's going on, Lake?
What's going on, man? How you been?
I'm good, man. I feel like I'm the minority. A lot of in terms of Washington Commanders, fan base or whatever you want to call it in the whole circle. A lot of people are getting excited about the draft. I wasn't that excited, so trying to be like the other fans, trying.
I mean, look, real talk.
Real talk.
I'm not sure how I feel about the draft. I mean, I feel like, I'm sorry. I feel like they reached for a lot of, just a lot of the players. And I'm a Penn State guy, so I love Jahan.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that too. We're gonna talk about that.
Yeah. I mean, he's a really talented, dynamic player.
Mm-hmm.
I just kind of felt like they had Curtis Samuel. They have Terry, guys that are very similar in stature.
Yeah.
So you're trying to make all your playmakers, smaller receivers.
Mm-hmm.
I was just surprised by it, considering that there were some guys out there that are dogs as well, that were bigger, in stature too. So I was just surprised that, they went that route. But the whole draft to me is one big mystery, and it's feast or famine. It could turn out to show that these guys are actually geniuses,
or the other way.
The other way around, and history has said it's been the other way around most of the time.
That's where I'm at. Instead, like you're talking about it right now, let's go right into it. I'm not going to do the whole read about what about what the station is. Everybody knows the station. You're listening to the show, you know the station. All right, so it's the draft. The draft went down last week to the weekend. Lake, I'm gonna start with this. You are a Penn State alum. You mentioned that. Washington took who you mentioned. Washington took Penn State wide receiver Jahan Dotson with the 16th pick of the NFL draft. Can you tell our listeners about this wideout?
I mean, he's great. He's dynamic. He doesn't drop anything. That's just his catch radius is some of the best I've ever seen. I mean, he's a natural receiver with hands, great route runner. Instantly comes in and might be their best route runner right off the top. He's a guy that can make some plays for them. So I don't think that's something that should be debated. He's a great pickup for them. It's just that the team has a propensity to take players and you don't use them the way they're supposed to be used. Now, if they're going to use him in the capacity to where I think they're going to use him, it could be something that's really good, because he could have two guys now, and him and Terry, that just don't drop anything. And now you can spread them out. And then if you can get Samuels back healthy, then you have another weapon in place. Again, as great as Jahan is, I just don't understand how they're going to use him here. I don't.
Yeah. No, it's wild, because that's what you're referencing into the stuff how you're characterizing Jahan Dotson is similar to how folks were talking about Dyami Brown. Like, you think about it, like he never dropped the ball in college, right? That was the thing.
Yeah.
Contested grabs, that was his thing. Playmaking ability in terms of being a deep threat, really good wide receiver speed. But productive in college.
He's better than Dyami Brown, though. That's not knocking Dyami Brown.
Yeah, I know.
But no. Jahan is a legitimate first round wide receiver.
Yeah.
And if he had been picked by any team but Washington, I would have said they have a steal in play.
Got you.
I just don't. Again, they're just going to be trotting out some. After a while, you got to ask yourself, like, where's the possession receiver going to be? Is that Terry?
Yeah.
Is Terry going to? I mean, if you're making him a possession receiver, normally possession receivers don't warrant $100 million.
Yes,
that's all I'm saying.
That's true.
So who's your possession receiver? Is it Curtis Samuel? We don't even see him out on a possession.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. And he's not that type of dude anymore. He's never been that type of dude ever in his career as a wide
right?
receiver, even
More
in
of a
college.
gimmicky type of receiver.
Yeah, even in
So
college.
who's your possession receiver? You know, as a Cam Sims? I mean, that's all I'm saying. You know, you had a guy like Jameson Williams sitting out there, and
We're gonna get to that,
I,
bro. We're gonna.
yeah, man. You know, look, I'm a Penn State guy,
I
man.
know this. You
You
know
know
what?
that
You said it
we are
already.
all
Uh,
day. You know, and,
yeah.
and and normally I would be ecstatic,
Yes.
but I feel bad for Jahan. Actually,
Yeah.
that's
I
how I
feel you.
feel.
No, I
Yeah.
feel you. I feel you. So, all right. With that being said, all right, I can tell where you're going with it. So, Washington traded their 11th pick to move to the New Orleans Saints for the 16th pick and the Saints' third and fourth round pick. They could have got, Olave. Doesn't matter. It is what it is. They could have got Olave. But you can make an argument that maybe that Dotson is better than Olave. You can make the argument because of production in college. You can make that argument. But for you, was that the right move?
I mean, this is a football team and that had a lot of holes to fill. And then anytime you can recoup and accumulate more draft picks, that's a good thing. I'm leery though. Did they do this so that they can keep guys on rookie contracts so they can pay some of these guys that they have to pay now?
Yeah.
No, that's really what I was thinking. Like, are just some of these moves being made so that they can basically pay a Terry McLaurin? They're going to have to pay a Chase Young or Montez Sweat coming up, something like that. And if that's the case, okay, I'm cool with that. But again, I just don't understand the direction, because they don't come out and say anything. You know that.
Yeah, they don't. That's
it's
true.
like, this is how we do business. This is how it's going to be. And for the most part, it's never worked.
Yes.
So you try to be positive. You try to think that this draft class could be, because there's a lot of unknown, that maybe some of these guys can come out and actually be football players with no expectations on them. But just the history says something totally different. And for my money, on paper, the draft could turn out to be great. But just as far as the factor, like the hit of it, this was the worst draft I've witnessed in a long
time. I agree. So this is my this is where we're at now. This is with like my agreement. You mentioned Jameson Williams. You can name old boy from Notre Dame and Kyle Hamilton. Like we're talking about, and this is the argument. This is why I think it's the bad play. This is why I think it's the bad.
Kobe Dean, middle linebacker.
Yeah, Kobe Dean,
All-American, first
All
team.
American. I don't care what whatever red flags you saw it on. I'm a Michigan fan. I saw what he did to Michigan.
What was his red flags?
It's injuries. They think he could be injured. They did it, but Jonathan. If that was the case, you would have never got Jonathan Allen.
I mean, listen.
If that was the case, we would have never got Jonathan Allen.
I hate when I hear this. We're talking about 22-year-olds.
Yes.
Their body cover technology. You guys that tear ACLs now come back faster and stronger.
Yes.
That's just how it is. Jameson Williams, you saw the footage right there.
Oh, like that's what bothers me. It's like this thing about, are you worried about, this is when people talk about when you want somebody to play now. Jameson Williams, if he didn't get hurt, was the best wide receiver in his draft.
By far.
All right. So that's one argument. So whatever you say about that, it's an ACL injury, which you just referenced. That's different than yesteryear. And the argument of he may not be himself in year one, but in year two, you getting the real Jameson Williams, period. Like you're getting that guy. And if you're telling me that this regime is thinking more about 1 year rather than, the future of this organization, then they're losing it completely. Because this dude, if you can in 3 years, if this dude is the best wide receiver in the class, then you messed up. Like you said, Jahan Dotson. I've watched him. Jahan Dotson is good. That's a talented brother, talented young man. But you could have. That's like saying, for instance, the Minnesota Vikings when all the other teams who passed up on Randy Moss in the past. Like all the other teams passed up on Randy Moss for whatever reason. They passed up on Randy Moss. Minnesota was like, nah, we getting him. Another example. This is for Kyle. I'm using the example of Kyle Hamilton, who they passed up on. We may be happy with safety. We don't need safety as much. Do you think the Dallas Cowboys really need Micah Parsons? Do they really need Micah Parsons? They need the cornerback more than they need Micah Parsons. They got Micah Parsons. Why? Because he's the best player on the board.
I'll give you another example. Justin Jefferson of Minnesota. You had
Yes.
people in there. You had some other guys. You go back last year to Cincinnati.
Yes.
You know, they took
Chase. They need
Jamar Chase,
and they need a
you already
tackle.
had, yeah, but you had Higgins, you had
Yes.
Boyd.
Boyd.
Yeah, you already had receivers, but they drafted a guy. And he instantly came in was their best player.
Exactly, bro. That's what I'm saying.
So it's like, what are you trying to do here? Are you trying to get better, or are you trying to? I mean, like you drafted Federian, Mathis in the second round.
Oh boy, didn't he? Oh boy, thought he was gonna be.
Yeah,
Didn't think he was gonna be drafted that early.
In my book, fourth round at the highest.
That's what he thought that. That lets you know.
Yeah. So
he
that's
wasn't
what
being
I'm saying.
hoodwinked. That lets you know.
You see that. So you see that stuff, man, and it's just like you're reaching.
Seriously reaching.
That's the pick right there. You could have had Nakobe Dean. You worried about injury. All I know is people can lie to me. They can say words. They can fool you. But my eyes see something. I know what I saw, and I saw that guy perhaps outside of Jordan. What's the name? You know, the tackle.
Yeah.
He was their second best defender last year.
Man,
the number one pick in the draft came from Georgia too. I mean, my God.
I'm with you.
All them guys was like, he was the glue guy. You know, he was calling the plays on defense. And if you're Washington, isn't that a gaping hole that you still have yet to fill?
Yes, man. They've been trying to fill and this is about this draft where when we talk about the trading back element, and I'm like, all right, if you trade back, isn't those two picks supposed to be the wild picks? Like they're supposed to be like, you did some of those two picks. So when you trade back, you got the wide receiver, but then you trade back, and those picks are like, okay. Like, what are you doing?
That's what I'm saying. And see, that's the whole point. I'd be okay if they traded back and they got Jahan Dotson and Nakobe Dean.
Yes.
Then we talking now.
Then we talking. Yeah.
You know, it's like, okay, they did something here. Yeah. But you traded back, and then the guys you drafted are pretty much unknown players.
Yeah.
Let's call it like it is. Yeah. So like I said, man, this is a feast or famine thing. I don't like old school coaches, first of all. I'm gonna tell you that.
Yeah.
Because they're rigid and it's their way. That's all you know. And I'm gonna say it and I'm gonna say it again. Ron Rivera's way as a coach hasn't been that good.
Yeah, it hasn't.
3 winning seasons in 11 years. I don't need to hear any more about you trying to show guys how to do things the right way. What is the right way if you haven't had any success either? You got to a Super Bowl. I give you that. That's not, but just because a coach made it to a Super Bowl 1 year, does that make him a great coach? Or did you have a great run and a great team and you had an MVP quarterback?
Yes. It makes life a lot easier. I'm with you, Lake. That's the thing. Like, and not even that. I think if Ron was just the coach, I would be more satisfied with. I think he would be more focused. He has too much power. And to your point, Lake, for that record, why would he have that much power? You know what I mean? Like the great ones. Let's be real. If you really want to break it down and be honest with it, and I don't want to go on a bashing Ron thing. This is not my thing. I'm not going to do that. But if you really break it down, the coaches that have that kind of power, they're Super Bowl winners. They're in a whole different class.
They are. They sit at a different table.
They're a different table. Yeah.
You know, Sean McVay has passed him.
Yes.
And you had him in the building.
Yes.
You know, it's just little things like that. Again, I like Ron. I think from a professionalism standpoint,
he's great.
He's the best thing they could have ever done. Best move they ever made.
Agreed.
I think he's trying to do some things from a coaching standpoint, but this year it's his team. This is his team. Everybody that's in the building, you handpicked pretty much. Everybody. So it's not like you inherited guys because you got rid of the Matt Ioannidis's of the world, the guys that were still here before you. We're here before you.
Yes.
Now this whole roster's flipped. It's guys you brought in via free agency for the first 2 years, or you drafted for the first 2 years.
Yeah.
So now you've got to produce. You went out and got the quarterback that you handpicked and gave up, Not I don't say they gave up a lot, but they're paying a lot for him.
And for this 1 year that you had to get rid of a player like Matt Ioannidis for, that's the reason why
Right.
Matt Ioannidis is not on this team.
Well, and I was surprised, honestly, too, in this draft that you took. You took the kid from North Carolina because
the quarterback. Yeah.
Is he good? Sam Howell. Yeah, I thought he was really good.
Yeah.
But you got Taylor Heineke, and Taylor Heineke has proven that he can play and be a backup, if anything. So that position solidified. So again, you took a player that's not going to dress, not going to suit developing anybody. You gotta get guys hit the field now and produce.
Yeah. We could talk about, since you mentioned Sam Howell. A lot of fans think that he's the future, and he could be. But I'm a realist though. Like,
I'll say it.
Yeah, this is why I'm a realist with it. He's the 5th round pick. Other than Tom Brady, there are a rare amount of quarterbacks that will even get that opportunity. What I mean by that is, it's either he has to have one of the greatest preseasons of all time, right, to even have you in a thought process, and camp has to be great, right, and his camp work has to be great for him to get that opportunity, because
he has to be coached up too.
Yeah, coached up to the highest level. Because let's be real, if this team doesn't play well, right, and then the draft is coming up, you don't think who are they going to hunt first? What are they going to hunt? They're not hunting for a defense, and they're hunting for a quarterback. Yeah.
And see, my thing is, I'll be honest, I'm sitting there saying your boy from Liberty was sitting there too. And I'm like,
supposedly, I thought for again, we're talking about in terms of getting value for a pick, right? Everybody deemed him in terms of talent, like he could be a guy that could be special. Like, yeah, he's going to need to be coached up, but he could be special. We're talking about talent. And in terms of quality in a draft pick, that's a quality draft pick. Because in the second round, I believe they got Mathis in the second round, right?
Yeah.
They got Mathis in the second round.
That's all I'm saying, man. You're right. Second round picks. First and second round picks are supposed to be guys that hit the field.
That's what I'm saying. Like, that's where, like, to me, and I think somebody had this argument with somebody. Actually, the homie, I love the kid. Serge. Me and Serge are going back and forth. Me and Serge are going back and forth. And I was telling Serge that, we were talking about, I was comparing Kyle Smith to Ron Rivera and his stuff. And I was like, Kyle Smith was really, really good drafting. He was real good drafting. Serge had an argument say he did. He wasn't. I said, okay, whatever. I was like, this is the difference between Kyle and Ron so far. Kyle can get you that dude. You do the track record. There's a dude that Kyle has drafted. He's gotten a dude. It could be the second. He's gotten you a dude. Like, you could say at the end of the day, like, oh, that was a solid pick. That player could be a stud. Ron, so far, we're doing it. We're just doing the track record. So far off track record, Jamin Davis, in that whole draft he did that year, he had no dude. No dude.
He's going to come back and say that he also found Cam Curl.
Cam Curl was Kyle. Cam Curl was under Kyle Smith.
He absolutely was, but he's going to say he had Defensive Rookie of the Year in Chase Young.
Under Kyle Smith.
Yeah.
That's what I'm like. Like, Kyle was in the building doing that. He even said that Kyle Smith was good at drafting. He said this when he was,
Why you let him go?
Why you let him go?
You concerned? Why you let Kevin O'Connell go as your offensive coordinator?
Bro, you said it too.
Just are you concerned that those are young guns that are waiting to take your spot? I mean, Now you see Kevin O'Connell in Minnesota. I mean, it's unbelievable. You see Zach Taylor. Took the team to the Super Bowl, lost to Kyle McVay, who's here, took it to a Super Bowl. Kyle Shanahan, NFC Championship. I mean, my God, it's like this whole freaking roster was littered with these young guns.
Yes.
And you have nothing to show for it.
Yeah. So I'm like, when I look at it, this draft, like you said earlier, like, all you can go off is track record. I don't like blind faith and blind loyalty. I don't like that. Like, I feel like you got to be smart enough to look at things for what it is. Like, all of these dudes, like you mentioned, are all reaches. Other than maybe I'll give him the Bama running back. Like, that one is more solid. Like, the Bama running back is solid. Like, I'll give you that.
Dotson's solid too. He is. Dotson's solid too.
No, Dotson's solid. I mean, talking about at his place. Like, the Bama at his place. You know what I mean? Like, that's not I can rock with that. Like I can see where you're coming with that. Like that, I'm not going to knock you for it because I could, everybody's has had questions about ball security with Antonio Gibson. Like this needs to stop. Like everybody has, like dude, if you ain't that guy, then you ain't that guy. We gonna have to get somebody who can tote that rock and be that guy that we can trust in the trenches. So I can give you that. I tell like for fans like so if fans know that I'm not negative. How is a good value? That's a good value pick for the 5th round. That's a good value pick. I think Dotson, like to your point, I think Dotson could be good here. I really do think he could be good here. My issue about Dotson is not could he be good here. Could he be better than Jamison Williams? Because you had an opportunity to get a Jamison Williams. Will he be better? Like that's the thing. Like I don't want to say to myself in year 3 or year 4, year 5. We have Dotson. Yeah, Dotson good, but he ain't better than James. I don't want to have that situation because you had the opportunity.
Somebody gonna have to hit the Pro Bowl before.
Yeah.
And so we're gonna see. I just feel like a lot of these picks that were made. I mean, Wole, seriously, a lot of these picks that were made look like they are potential replacement draft picks.
Yes.
For guys that might leave.
Yes,
if Terry leaves, you got Jahan, it's similar status.
Yes.
Similar status.
Good point.
If you're not going to give Deron Payne money, where you got a guy that looks just like him from Alabama,
Yeah.
And Mathis. So it doesn't make sense. I mean, a lot of these offseason moves that were made don't make sense to me. You let Matt Ioannidis go, you let Tim Settle go, you let your top 2 reserves on your D go them and not broke the bank. Those guys is going to be your every down guy. And for everybody out there that was saying that Matt Ioannidis was always hurt and got injured and stuff,
my God, they need to stop that.
God, man, that guy was their most productive lineman for the last 3 years. Up until this year, Jonathan Allen had a great year. He did. But Matt Ioannidis was a terror on the field. And yeah, I mean, the pec muscle, those are things that happen to a lot of people. It's not like an injury waiting to happen. I mean, some guys get injured. Some guys get injured because they play hard, So again, I just was tired of hearing that whole narrative.
No, this is my thing about Matt Ioannidis. To your point, like he was the best defensive lineman for the last couple of years on the squad when healthy. So and to me, like injuries are fluke or whatever. You could say that, but he's busting his butt for this organization and this team and the production. And I think if people saw him from the beginning, right, where he was more of a project, and then all of a sudden he built this game. So you want to reward people who are hardworking, who improved, and then became like literally the best interior defender on the squad. Till like Jonathan Allen finally kind of got motivated last year, but he was the best interior defender on the squad, and with amongst dudes who are highly touted like a Jonathan Allen, Deron Payne. These dudes were supposed to instantly be on the squad and outplay him, and they didn't. You know what I mean? For a while. So like I felt like you should have kept a dude like that on the team because one, that just shows that's good for the locker room to see a dude that that had that work ethic to improve and get better, knowing that that's built in. Like that work ethic that he has is built in. So sure, if you draft another young boy, they gonna watch him and look at him and be like, okay, that's how you do it. That's an example. You know what I'm saying? You let that go out the locker room because you couldn't be patient enough to wait it out for Carson Wentz to become a free agent because he was going to get cut. Like no one was going to tell me he was going to get cut. No one's going to.
He was definitely getting cut.
Yeah, he was getting cut.
You tried to get him before somebody else would snatch him up, and again, but then you draft a quarterback.
Yeah. I feel like we talking about Carson Wentz. Like, don't be that desperate for Carson Wentz. He got to prove to be back to a certain extent. Like, the stats were decent. I'm not anti-Carson Wentz. I want anybody to think I'm not anti-Carson Wentz. But I am a realist, though. Like, I know that this whole talk about, well, we had to trade for him, and you had to give up draft picks, and you had to take on the contract. Like, yo, you could have asked Indy to try to take some of that money. Like, you didn't even do that. Like, I know it's like the contract after this year is it's team friendly, but still for this one season, this is an opportunity to take advantage of free agency for this team. You talk about this team has holes, you have free agency.
But you know what though, Wole? You know what I think is another issue? I think these guys in the building got whiff of the simple fact that guys don't want to come here.
Gotcha.
You may not have gotten him, no matter how much money you threw at him during free agency if he was cut.
Okay.
So they almost forced the trade to bring him in, because he may not have wanted to come here. That's how bad it's gotten,
Yeah. I get it,
So
but I feel like he's the type of player they could get because he's desperate. Washington gets a lot of desperate players. Like I feel like he's the type of player that they can
you
bring
gotta
into the
take that
table, to the
desperation
building.
out on Sundays because if this don't work, it's over. I mean, I'm just gonna say it. If
Yeah.
this don't work this year, it's over. I mean, all across the board, it's over.
Like this is the thing. I think Ron is comfortable. I don't think it's over, right? This is the reason why I don't think it's over. I think the bad P, and I've said this before. I think the bad PR with Snyder, gives Ron a lot of
Oh
like leeway.
no. I just mean I don't think he's gonna get fired. I think
Oh,
he's gonna be here for 5 years,
okay,
regardless.
okay.
But when I say over,
Oh, for the, I
it
got you.
for the regime in general
Yeah,
to turn this thing around, it's
yeah,
over.
it's over. I
Because you
agree.
had 3 years and
Yeah.
you won it, and and that means they were 7-9 when they won it, and the division was terrible. But at the end of the day, you're still supposed to elevate from that.
Yeah, I
Yeah, a
agree.
lot of people last year thinking
Totally agree.
2-3 more wins, 9 wins,
I
10
agree.
wins. You're supposed to elevate every year.
Yeah,
They regressed last year
I agree.
badly
I agree.
with more talent.
Yeah.
So
that's the thing. I've said this before, and I got like, oh, I'm a hater. I'm this, that, and the other. I'm like, no. When you're a coach,
you want them to win.
I want them to win. I'm not. Why would I be hating? I want them to win. I'm not blind. This is the thing. This is any coach in life. If you coach if you coach in terms of the smallest level to the highest level, if you have and you're trying to build a program, year one, okay, that's a year that's the foundation. The year one's the foundation. And every year after that, your goal is to improve. And sometimes it may not be wins and losses, right? Because sometimes you got tough breaks. But like you said, but like what you're saying, like in terms of the on-field play, forget the wins and losses. It was the digression. They digressed. Like that's what it was. Like they didn't get better.
Antonio Gibson digressed by far.
By far.
I mean, you could see certain players that
Chase Young.
Absolutely. Hell, Montez Sweat didn't have
to a certain extent,
to a certain extent I was expecting from him. Jamin Davis took like to week 13 before he started, and they moved him outside.
Yeah.
Like you actually thought he was a middle linebacker.
But you didn't even give him an opportunity. And my issue even with that is that you drafted kid. This is your draft.
You don't let him
you don't let him play to figure it out. Like you're really worried about, and this is when your defense was like even at the height of its terribleness, and you were still playing you were playing Bostic. So I'm like, yo, like this kid needs work. Like he needs more work. I know you probably see it in practice, but give him game work. Like give him game work.
Words, it couldn't get any worse.
It couldn't get exactly. That's my point. It couldn't get any worse.
So you let the young guys play if it's at that point.
Exactly.
Now you really are developing.
Yeah.
I just don't know if what they've done this offseason has made them any better than what they were last year.
Yeah, that's my thing. Like I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. So like other than I think Jahan Dotson will make some plays. I think he'll make some impact for this team next season. But other than him, what player out of this draft you see, being productive, helping his team productively, not just helping the team, but being productive?
I think Percy, was it Butler?
Yeah, Percy Butler, the safety.
Yeah, I think he has a chance to play.
Okay.
I do. It's not going to start. I mean, because you have Bobby McCain back there now.
Yeah.
He came on strong at the end of the year.
Sure did.
So, again, special teams guy, get a couple nickel packages. The tight end that they took, I think, is going to be a really good one.
I think he has a chance.
He does, but you have to keep in mind that Bates last year came on strong. Logan Thomas is still Logan Thomas. So I don't know about Sam East,
about Reyes. Yeah.
But the point is, remember what I was telling you a couple of weeks ago? This fan base has to make because that player is not going to anybody else's team and making that kind of deep impact.
Yeah.
That's the problem when you look across this roster. There's guys that are professional football players. I'll
Yes.
take that away from
Agree.
them. But where if they went to another team,
Yeah,
let's
there you
just say
go.
a team that's a legit playoff team,
I agree.
would you have a third receiver, a fourth receiver
Yeah.
that you have here?
Yeah, I agree.
Terry McLaurin would start most places.
Yes.
I don't know if he'd be a number one in most places. That's
Mm.
that's the truth. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
That's not knocking Terry. I'm just saying. If he was in Green Bay, he wouldn't have been number one over Devontae Adams, who's gone now. There's just certain players like that. But in fairness to Jahan, I'm gonna tell you who he compares to,
Okay.
and
Tell me.
I saw both of them up close and personal. He's Stephon Diggs.
Okay.
That's
That's a great comp. That's a great comp.
That's his comp, right?
Yeah,
That's
that's
who
a
he
great
is.
comp.
He's not the fastest guy, but he's slick. He knows how to run routes. He knows how to not take shots, and he catches everything. He's smart. He's Stephon Diggs, and Stephon
That's
Diggs
great.
is damn good.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, I knew he was the truth. And when he slipped that far in the draft, I was like, why? Like I knew Stephon was like that dude. If you watch, I know it's Maryland, but if you watch Stephon Diggs and what he did against Florida State and folks, you knew that Stephon Diggs
Against
was
Maryland, he looked like he needed to be in another team.
like he was on the wrong team. Like he should be in Florida or something. I remember telling my brother, I was like, yeah, like who is it? Stephon Diggs. Yeah, like I don't know why he went to Maryland. He should went to like Florida. Like he's a Florida type. He's Florida talent.
He's too good to be there. He's
too good to be in Maryland. But no, I've seen enough of John. Like one thing, and I know the argument, about that's why I didn't like. I know about like Olave. That's why Olave and Dotson, or even Garrett Wilson. You want to say that? If you want to say that Dotson is better than those cats, I can see where you're coming from. I can see it because the offense in terms of the stats he put up in Penn State with no quarterback and the way no quarterback and what he did and what Ohio State guys did with a decent quarterback. I won't say an NFL quarterback, but decent quarterback and system, like the offensive system.
No. Stroud is he.
We'll see. Ohio State quarterbacks or whatever, but we'll see. Like I'm just saying, Ohio State quarterback. I know what you're saying.
He's probably the first true pro pocket passer quarterback.
We'll see. Everybody said Justin Fields is going to light up the league, and he hasn't yet. So I'm just saying.
He'll be all right this year, Chicago.
Hopefully, I don't root for anybody, even Ohio State folks. I don't root for any young man to fail, especially any young black quarterback. I don't root for them to fail at all. To be honest with you, I don't. But like, I'm just saying, like, because of Jahan, but Jahan Dotson, I would give him credit. And I've seen him. Like, dude is consistent. He consistently open, consistently makes plays. So I think he does have an opportunity to make plays. It's just, to me, I'm gonna go back to what we were talking about earlier. Is that, and what you just said was an awesome point. You said it like a couple weeks ago on the show. Is like you had an opportunity to get a guy that everybody coveted. Like you had an opportunity. Like, and to your point, like when you look on this squad, they're going other than a few. There's a few players that you can say, like if Jonathan Allen went somewhere, I think he would flash. He would flash. You can make the argument that some of the like if a Sweat, even Chase Young, if they go to a different squad, they flash because they be coached differently. They would be coached to their.
Yeah, it's four or five. It's 4 or 5.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. It's 4 or 5 dudes.
I think Cosme got a chance to be a dog on the offensive line if he's Cosme.
Yeah, I agree. I do. I think it's a chance. If he's
coached properly. And I told people this before, and I don't know if anybody want to hear it, but I have said this for the longest time. Sam Cosme's moving to Brandon Sheriff's spot. I said body structure the same. He is a guard.
Okay.
And
no.
Why you see Lucas on one side and
his name always does this to me.
Chicago.
Dude from Chicago. Leno. Thank you.
Right. It's the off season. So you got those two bookends to move Cosme into right guard. And then on the other side,
bad idea.
Yeah, I mean that's what they're gonna have to do. You got Roulier, and then you might have Sweetser or someone, on the other side. So not bad. It's doable. It's doable.
Yeah. It was. It wasn't a bad. Compared to most of the NFL, the line wasn't horrible last year. It wasn't. Most of the, a lot of people kind of get on it because when you see it as a fan, you see your
Well, you
quarterback
have
getting hit.
quarterback play. Yeah,
Yeah, that too.
that quarterback play and no running game.
Exactly,
You're
right?
not
So it
running
kind of,
game.
you look at it a little differently. You know what I'm saying? You look at it a little differently. But yeah, I just think that they have an opportunity. They got some guys. They had an opportunity to get a dog though. Like they had to get a guy like. There's a reason why the Ravens are. I know people don't like to hear it, but a reason why the Ravens are.
No, they had an impeccable draft.
There's a reason why, because even when you don't think they need somebody, but they see value in that person, they get them. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people were surprised when they got Lamar. Like, right?
I wasn't.
You weren't, but you know what I mean? Like, but a lot of people like they could have got another player, but Lamar is special. They went back and traded back to get Lamar. Like, get traded to get Lamar.
And that's because what you trade down to get the dog that you didn't think was sitting there.
Exactly, bro. That's what I'm saying. Like, this is why the Ravens are the Ravens. Kyle Hamilton falls to their lap. They could have got another middle linebacker. They were like, nah, we getting this dude from Notre Dame because he is a dog. Fit. Say, would you say, Blake?
Yeah, I mean, it was perfect fit.
It was.
Yeah, a little bit. Not to stray, but you know who else had a hell of a draft?
Who?
The Eagles.
Yes, they had a great draft.
Had a great draft.
And
that just elevates them right past Washington.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Like you got Dean. Who's which wide receiver they get in the first?
Pickens.
Huh?
Pickens.
They got Pickens. Like they got guys they needed, and they got dogs. That's what I'm saying. Like you had an opportunity.
They got a bunch of Georgia dudes.
Yes, they know they're not dumb. They not dumb. That's what that's why I need this team. That's where I need this team to think. Like you're in competition with your division. That's the first thing you compete. Like, are you good enough for what you did? Are you good enough to beat the Cowboys? They won the division. That's how are you good enough to beat the Eagles?
You left those guys sitting on the table for the Eagles to take.
Yes. You let these guys out. You let these guys out to be there. You let that happen. Like you let this. Like you want violence. You chose violence.
Two years ago, Washington was a better setup.
Yes.
Organization. Yes. The players. They were in a better situation than the Eagles, and immediately that's
changed. That switched. That's the problem.
Upside for the Cowboys is off the charts.
Yes,
flipped it. And then if you look at the Giants, they just went out and got a new coach. So we gonna see, man. It just I hate being like this. I'm not trying to be negative, but it's a lot of work ahead for Washington to write this. There's a lot of work ahead for them.
I totally agree, Lake. Hey, Lake, man, thanks for being on, my man. Let our listeners know what you have coming down the pike and how they can catch you on social media.
Well, you go on social media at Lake Lewis. Twitter, Lake Lewis Jr. on Facebook. Morning shows. My eyes are red because it's way past my bedtime, but this is my family right here, so I went on with them. But no, I anchoring in the morning shows. Got 2 Good Morning America things I do every day as well. Got a community forum I do once a week with some politicians here in the area, and then of course on next week my podcast, After Practice podcast, will be on ABC down here too. So yeah, I'm ready.
You know what I'm saying? T.I. said big things popping. Little bit stopping. You know what I mean? I love it. I love it. Hey, also subscribe to our podcast on Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, and Google Podcasts. Search all Burgundy and go Errrything with the Urban Sports Scene. Also tweet us at Urban Sports Scene. Hit us up on IG at Urban Sports Scene and at 1340 AM Fox Sports, like our Urban Sports Scene and Fox Sports Radio. 96.9 FM and 1340 AM Facebook pages. And make sure you subscribe to the Fox Sports Radio 96.9 FM, 1340 AM, Hopewell, Virginia, and Urban Sports and YouTube channels as well. Hey, I appreciate Lake for being on. He is the homie. Anyway, you've been listening to All Burgundy and Go Errrything with the Urban Sports Scene on Fox Sports Radio 96.9 FM and 1340 AM, Hopewell, Virginia, for ages. Yeah, dig. Deuces. Hey, Mega, lead us out, big homie.
Swag.